So let me share my screen. So is my screen visible, Manish or Shiva?
Not yet.
Now?
Yeah, now.
Okay. Okay. And you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So let's get start with this OData. So in previous session, we have covered only, means there are so many implementations, okay, OData implementations, like different methods are there to implement. So in earlier session, we only implemented get entity and get entity set. Okay, basic one, which is mostly required. So why we use get entity and get entity set, guys, do you know any difference between them? Get entity
Yes.
set and get entity?
So get entity generally fetches a single record. If you are passing some, let's take an example of sales order item. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are passing sales order number, so it will get only the single record from the get entity. But when you are implementing get entity set, that method, so it will give you the line item records, or like multiple records, more than one, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
and it will fetch it and it will show in the uh, output wherever.
Right, right, exactly right. Okay, get entity set, it's like a table which will return all the records which are available inside the table. And when it comes to get entity, it's only a single record. Means we are able to read only single record by passing the key as a parameter to that service. Okay, so yeah. So in earlier session, what we have done, we just created a basic OData project in Gateway Service Builder, that is ZUI5 underscore OData underscore employee. So generally, which has a data model, service implementation, runtime artifacts, and service maintenance. So we created only one a single entity set, that is employee. Okay. So if you look at the structure of the employee, I think we have added almost 7 fields in which EMP ID, which is nothing but it is a key of that table. Okay, which is acting as a primary key to that table. Okay. So now if you look at entity set, same means the entity type means it is just like a structure. Entity set means it's like a table which will hold all the records. So guys, one thing can you tell me means whenever you're going to read any service, okay, any basic service, so which you will refer? You will refer entity type or entity set?
Uh, it's I think it's based on the requirement, because generally we should refer to the entity set, because if
Entity
they
set
want
only we will refer, right?
yes,
Means
yes,
see
yes.
in browser, if you want to read the data from any entity set or by means like you're passing the filter query or you're passing expand query, whatever you're going to pass. But mostly what we will do instead of passing entity type, we will always prefer to entity set, right?
Entity set, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think I'll do one thing. I'll just go to the gateway service builder for a second. Sorry, the gateway client. Okay, so this is our gateway service client. So if you look at the structure, the structure of the service, the path, if you look at it, the path that is SAP slash OPU slash OData slash SAP slash ZUI5. So this is the main service that we have created. And then below that, if you look at this path, so from where this path is coming and how this path is coming, any idea about that?
So in the SICFT code, we will have to activate these services. So
Right,
over
right,
there,
exactly correct.
this OData. Yeah.
Yes. So whenever we create any OData service, for sure we need to register or maintain that service, right? In the service catalog. So as soon as we maintain that service in service catalog or we register it, so what will happen? Automatically a SICF node will be created for that service because we need to activate that service, right? Then only that service means that then only we can run that service in the browser. Before that, it's not possible. So from SIC, if you look at it, this service is stored in the folder structure that is under the SAP. Then we have OPU slash OData slash SAP. In that, the service that we created, it is located inside that path. So we have to activate it, then only the third party user or any user from the browser he can access. So before that, it cannot be accessed. So guys, for sure, in couple of requirements, you will face different requirements. Like let's say OData service is already created, but we need to activate it. So we can activate. Means if you are working with the three environment like development, quality, or production. So in case of development, as soon as you register the service, that service will be activated, right? For sure, that service will be activated as soon as you register. But let's say you're moving this, you have recorded this change in one TR, and after that you want to move this to the quality. So in quality, do you think that still in quality we need to activate this service, or it will be by default activated? How is it?
So while activating, are we moving those things recorded in the TR? If it is recorded in the TR, then I think it will get activated in the
Right, right.
quality.
We need to activate this, then only it will be for sure, then only it will be activated in the quality. And the
Yes.
same thing, it should be followed in the production as well, because it's not easy, right? As soon as you have means it doesn't happen that all the developers will have the access to the production. So for production, only the main users will have the access. So rather than doing all the step and basic configuration in quality or production, it should be done in the development itself, so that it can be transported properly, all the changes. Okay, so this is the main basic URL that any UI5 developer will need. Means, so we created this basic product project, OData project, and this is the technical name of our service. Okay, so now let's say as a OData developer, uh, my front-end developer is expecting some information for the OData service. So what you will do as a OData developer, what you will do, you will directly copy this URL, the basic URL, and you will provide that to the UI5 developer. And then what UI5 developer will do, let's say you want to check what all entity sets are available, what are navigation properties or expand queries, anything. If he needs a detailed information of this service, what he will do, what he will refer in this case from this service?
Metadata.
Yes. So he will refer the metadata, because metadata, it's like a document. It's like a document of this service, which will provide all the basic information. Okay, it will provide all the basic information for that service. So metadata is must, because let's say now as a UI5 or as a front-end developer, I got this service and I don't know which entity set I need to consume. Okay, so what I will do, I will first of all, I will go through the metadata of this service. So to check the metadata, you can just click on add URI option, and you can just double click on this dollar metadata. And after that, you can just execute. So as soon as you execute, you will see all the basic information for that service, like what is an entity type, what is an entity set, what all properties are available in this, what is the basic length or the maximum length for each property. Let's say if user want to update that. So each and every basic information will be available in this document, metadata document. Okay, like in this example, if you see, we created only one entity type, that is employee, which has the key property as EMP ID. Okay, and after the EMP ID means they are just referring that it is a key property for this entity type, and all other properties are like the basic properties. Okay, so now they can also check the entity set, because at the end UI5 developer, they will refer entity type. Sorry, they will refer entity set, not the entity type. Okay, so this is must. So now what I will do, I will just add an entity set, and I will add URI option as $format equal to JSON, and I will execute. So as soon as I execute, if you see as we have added the basic logic, okay, to get the or to fetch all the records from that table. So we created one basic custom table, and in that we have stored a couple of records. So based on that only, we are able to access all the information. Okay, so I think we have almost around 8 records. Okay, so 8 records we have, and then same that we have to access in UI5. okay, in UI5 application. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, so we implemented entity set, employee set, which has the basic operations like filter will work, sorter will work. Okay, so that will work. And apart from that, we have also implemented get entity. Means let's say I want to read a specific record by passing the key. So I'll do one thing. I will just pass rounded brackets 1. Okay, let's say I want to get the employee ID 1. So I'll just click on execute. Okay, see. So let's say if I want to read the data from a single record by passing the employee ID as a key parameter. So this is what we
Yeah,
have implemented for.
your screen is stuck.
Uh,
I'm just able to see metadata only, and that where you have to put an
okay, metadata
SAPUI.
you're able to see.
Yes, only metadata and basic only. That previously which you run.
Okay, okay. Shiva, are you also facing the same issue?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Which screen you're able to see now, Shiva?
Now I mean that HTTP methods get means right now. Yeah, it is showing metadata.
Okay,
Yeah.
metadata. Okay, 1 second. Let me reshare it. Maybe.
Now we are
Okay.
able to see Google.
Okay, now can you see my screen now?
Google we are able to see browser.
Now?
No, we are not able to see the SAPC. Yeah, now we are able to see the employee set
Okay,
one
okay.
format is equal to J. I think it's taking time to load to share the
And
screen.
1 second. I think let me check my connection.
Mhm.
Okay, so now you're able to see my screen, right? Properly? Uh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Format is equal to JSON that we are able to see and
Right, right.
employee ID, employment. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I think, yeah, let's go now and let's implement the create entity set now. Okay, so for implementing the create entity set, we go back to odata project and I'll just navigate to the above workbench. So for this employee set, we have, if you look at the structure, right, implementation, we can implement create, we can implement delete, and get entity we already implemented, get entity set also we already implemented. Only create, delete, and update. 3 things are pending. And after that, we will see the basic expand. Okay, the basic expand with create deep entity and all. Okay, so let me do one thing now. Yeah, I can go to any method, go to above workbench. Yes. So if you look at the basic message, it's giving me that this method is not implemented. Okay. So why this is giving? Because let's say you created a new OData service and you already know that we have implemented only get entity and get entity set. But let's say as a UI5 developer, I don't know anything about the OData service. And when I will try to create a new record into that table, so what will happen in that case? We will get an error 502 or something, the 500 base error and status code we will receive that this method is not implemented yet. Okay, that for sure that is the basic message always you will get. Why you will get? Because this method is not implemented yet. So let's say as a front end developer, if I don't know anything about the OData, but at least I can tell I can explain my backend developer that please implement create entity set. Then only the going forward he can create a new record. But at least this will tell us the basic information, right? This will give the basic information to any developer that this method needs to be implemented. So now I'm just clicking on the checkbox, and after that it will take me to above workbench so that we can write the logic. Okay, so under this, so every code that we will write, we will make the changes in dpc underscore ext. That's only the the class inside which we will do the all the changes. So if I expand the method, we have two folders here: inherited methods and redefinition. So redefinition means the methods that we have already implemented and we have written the logic for that, and which are already activated and which are accessible as a part of OData service. So now this time I need to implement create entity set. So for implementing the create entity set, so we have a method employee set underscore create underscore entity. Okay, so just right click on this create entity and we have one option redefine. Okay,
I think
as
it's stuck again.
yes,
It's stuck again.
again stuck.
Our operation employee set create entry has not yet been implemented. We are able to see that story.
Oh, I don't know why this is happening. 1 second. Now, is it visible now?
No, I cannot see.
Not yet loaded. I think.
Now, is it visible?
No. So while sharing, have you selected that all screen, all windows, like
Yeah,
or
that
specific,
only. Okay, that
specific?
only I'm just selecting it, the entire screen.
It's still black.
Now,
No, black. Okay. So do you want to join again on the same thing? Or
okay. I'll do one thing. I'm not sure because if I drop also the recording will stop or not. That I'm not sure.
recording will get stopped, I think so.
Recordings will be stop. It will be stopped, right?
Yeah. Means again, if it means not you and everyone.
Okay, I'll do one thing. Wait. Uh, okay, let me share my screen now. Now, is it visible?
Black. Not visible. Can you close your Teams and or should you try to restart your computer like that? Okay.
Okay, I think that only I need to try because not sure why this is happening.
Okay.
Because the speed wise it is okay only.
And now we were able to see once you try to close, I think so. That calendar.
Okay, looks like there is a glitch. It
Uh,
thinks. Okay, let me know. I will reshare my screen once again. Now, is it visible?
no, once you stop sharing, that time it will only come.
Okay. I'll do one thing. I'll just restart. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Just hold on
We'll
for five
wait.
minutes.
Sure. Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, just now I have restarted my system. Try to reshare it.
Yeah, yeah. Now we are able to see.
Now you're able to see?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I don't know why this is happening because internet wise it is good. It's almost around 200 Mbps. And then still if I'm
Uh,
facing issue, then looks like there is a
or
problem in the system.
I think something got updated in the background that Teams might need restart.
Ah,
So
right.
they behave like that. If you don't do restart, they behave like that. Uneven.
Right, right, right. Few minutes back only some updation was happening. Okay, but now it's visible, right?
Yes, Avik.
Okay, okay, okay. So let's try to implement or let's try to redefine create entity. So to redefine the create entity, just right click on this create entity, and after that you choose the option redefine. As soon as you
It's stuck again. I think so. I'm able to see your calendar only.
calendar.
Yeah, SAPUI5 training a week, 8 p.m. to
Oh,
10 p.m. That we are able to see. Uh,
1 second, 1 second. Why this is happening today? Now tell me which screen you're able to see.
calendar.
Calendar.
Yeah.
Now
Same.
calendar only.
Yeah.
Okay, no, just now I opened remote desktop. Not sure if this is problem with the remote desktop.
Did
Uh,
you try to share this whole screen, but that screen?
yeah, all
Did
screen only. Yes,
okay.
all screen
And
only. I'm sharing.
under the presenter mode, did you is the content only is highlighted?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I think it
Okay,
should
and
work
I'm
then.
choosing screen rather than window. Now let me know once.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it
Now we are
visible now?
able to see this method employee set create entity. Now try
Uh-huh.
to change the screen.
Okay, fine. Yeah, let me do that. Okay. This. Okay, now see.
Uh, calendar. Now you have training.
Calendar.
Uh,
Okay. Now which
uh,
screen?
Still that SAP UFI training. Attendance report.
Now,
No, there is no
now are you
changes.
able to see the method create entity?
No, 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 no.
Oh, this is very bad.
I don't know what is happening.
No, because I can hear your voice without any problem, but not sure why this is happening with the
This
Teams
is
today.
a issue with the screen sharing part, I think so, in the team. Uh,
No, earlier we never faced this.
Never, no. I think some update is like it's not a proper update. I think some glitch.
Okay, wait, let me check if any update is pending or not here. It's like nothing is there. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just log in. Uh, guys, can you see?
Now I'm able to see the method. Employee set create entity.
Okay. Let me know if it is again getting freeze, right? Just let me know.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I'm just writing a code here. So I will explain the code later. Okay. So first I'll just implement or add the code for that. So I'm just copying the structure for the employee because the table that we implemented or the structure that we need is of ZUI5 underscore employee. That is a table we have here. So I'm just copying the structure for the table from the MPC class. So I can do one thing here. So I'll just write MPC. Okay, so from here we need a type and we need a structure of this TS employee. Okay, this is what the structure we need it. TS employee, which is of type Z employee underscore UI5. Just copying this structure. So which is coming from MPC underscore EXT. So I'll just go back here, go back and just right here, ZCL underscore Z UI5. MPC TS employee. And after that, we need one IO data provider. Okay, so if you see, we have a IO data provider which will provide the data that we are passing from the front end. And we have a method read entry data inside that. Just data from LS. And once we have that data inside the LS data, so we will insert that. Insert Z underscore UI5 from LS. 0. Then we need to move ls data. Means after the successful insertion, we need to display that data again to the front end guy so that he will know that this record is successfully inserted into the table. Okay, guys, you got it right? The code which I have written here.
Yes.
Okay,
So this
Mhm.
TS employee which you have mentioned. So do you have also created like something header or item kind of, or only one
No,
structure you have created?
as of now, I just created a single entity set, which is nothing but
Okay.
employee. But now going forward, this employee will act as a header because each employee will have its own work history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Means let's say we need a employee's history details, mean in which all companies he have worked till now. So we will create that as a child or as a items to this header. Okay. So in this case, this employee table will act as a header and the work history will act as a children for that or items. Okay, that we will do a basic one.
Okay.
Okay, so at least any questions means it's clear, right? It's very straightforward. Nothing
Yes.
complex. Basic code I have written. Okay, so let me check the logic. Yeah, so there is no syntax error. Let me activate it. Okay, so it is activating now. So guys, I'm just planning to implement all the methods today. So tomorrow, please be present, okay? Because at the end, from UI5, how it is done, how it is consumed, that is important, right? So make sure that tomorrow at least be present in the session. Yeah, so it is activated now. So what I will do, I'll just go back to the gateway client here. And now let's say you want to create a new record. So I will use this as a request. Okay, I will use this as a request and I'll add a new record here. So the last record which I have already added is a 8 one. So I'm adding a new record for the employee ID 9. And now I will just update the basic information here like EMP name. Adding okay, so just changing the fine now. So I'm just keeping date of birth as it is. And now what I will do, so we just now we implemented create entity set, right? So if you have implemented create entity, so we have to choose the method. Which method it will trigger? The create entity, it will trigger the post. Okay, so from HTTP side, it will trigger the post method. So I'm just selecting the post, and after that, so the record which we have, right? So this record, it will act as a, so this will act as a payload. So in which we don't need this metadata actually. Can directly keep this as it is. I've just removed the metadata from that, and you can keep this EMP ID, EMP name, email ID, gender, designation, company, and date of birth. Now, after clicking on the post, so the next thing is we don't need to pass any parameters to this employee set, right? You only keep the employee set as a table, and inside which table we just need to pass this information that as of now which we created as a payload. So I will just put a breakpoint on this line. We put an external breakpoint. Okay, and after that, I will just click on execute. Okay, it says email ID at offset has invalid value. Why this has invalid value? Is it expecting all in the? Okay, what is the length that we need to see?
Date of birth.
Not no date of birth. It will work because it just pointed out for the email ID property.
I see.
Okay, right. I will just do one thing. I think looks like the length we need to check. The
Yeah,
length
I
of that.
think so. Right.
Yes. Okay, I'll try with this. Okay, I just removed the Gupta from that and let me try it once again. Okay, now it got triggered. Okay, so the parameters that we need it, right? The payload that we have passed, where it came inside the IO data provider. Okay, if you look at the IO data provider, in which we have all the data, the raw data we have, which we are getting from the payload. Second, where it is. The raw data we have. Okay. Second, let me go back here. Yeah. Okay. So if you look at the ES data, what we have inside the ES data, okay, it's just like an importing and yeah. Okay, so inside the LS data, we store that means whichever the record we got it from IO data provider that we have stored it inside the LS data. So which we recently passed, like EMP ID and all. So next thing, once we store that information inside the LS data, next the last we just need to insert that record inside the table. Insert the table Z employee underscore UI file. Okay. So if you look at the Z employee underscore UI file, uh, this is the table. We cannot go directly like that. It won't display, right? Okay. So yeah, so that record got inserted inside the Z employee underscore UI file, and after that, based on the condition. So let's say if that is successful, then what we will do, whichever record we have inserted recently, that record only we have to display back as a response to the user. Okay, because this information is required by the user. Then only user will know that that record got successfully inserted, and this is what the record we have pushed recently. Okay, so let me execute this. Okay, see. So in this XML format, if you see the record that we recently push, okay, the same response we are getting it as a response means, and if you look at the status code also, the status code that we are getting is 201. So if you are getting status code with 200, it means that is successful. And the reason also you can see that it created means that record got created successfully. So let me see whether we have that record. I will just try to read all the records from the employee set. And let me add a URI option as JSON and let me execute it. So if you execute, let's check for the last record. Okay, can you see here now? So the record that we push, right, the last record, it got inserted into the table, and which is what we need it as of now. Okay, so guys, any questions in this in insert?
And if there is something error is there, like while inserting some data didn't got updated, then how we are supposed to pass it to so that the UFI developer can show those messages to the user. So that I want to understand it.
Okay.
Or are we going to cover it in the next part? So yeah, just
Maybe I'll do one thing for that. Let's say if you want to pass any information, right? See, basically this is like a standard one only. Means if something means now few minutes back when we are trying to pass the value to the email ID. So which was not so when we try to pass that email ID information to that payload, so the maybe that email or that length was not matching. So directly we got that response, right? We got that response means we will do one thing. I'll just remove the breakpoint here for a second. Second, I'll just select the line. Okay, use it as a request. Let's say you have 10 that I'm adding. Okay, so let's consider you're just pushing this record. Okay, if you're pushing this record, a new record, and you're clicking on the post. Okay, now let's say as soon as you click on execute, let me see whether it will go or not. Yeah. So now see, we got one error. Property email ID at offset 408 as invalid value. So let's say if you want to handle this, how you will handle such kind of information? You don't need to pass it. Automatically it is getting passed, right?
yes.
Right? Because this is a standard error. If you're implementing the custom one, that is different, and this is a standard error that it will be always displayed. You don't have to do anything for that from the odata point. For UI5 perspective, what UI5 developer will get, he will get the status code of 404, 400. Whenever user is getting 400, in that case, this is a part of UI front end developer. This is not a part of backend developer in this case. You got it right, Manish?
Yes, I got it. Actually, I
Okay,
mean to
so
say for that custom one, yes, you are right. Actually, for the standard, it will throw and can be 100.
yes, for the standard exception, this is a standard exception that we are getting. We don't need to do anything for this from the OData perspective, because if you look at the payload, in payload itself, the front end developer has passed the invalid information, the information which is not accurate, okay, which is not following all the maximum length of, or all the basic rules that we have created. Means, let's say for email id, this is what the maximum length we have defined. So if a UI5 developer, if he is going to pass the email id or the value for that email id which is greater, which is a greater than the maximum length, so he will get a 400. So as a front end developer, if I'm getting the status code as a 400, it means it's my problem. Okay, because I didn't pass the information correctly. Okay, if I'm
Okay.
getting 500, it means that something is wrong with the server side. That is from OData side. Okay, if I'm getting 400, for sure, this is my responsibility to fix it from front end side. So front end guy, he will just cross check, because if you look at the standard exception, it is already mentioned that property email ID at offset 408 has invalid value. Invalid value means he need to cross check whether the value that he is passing it's right or wrong. Okay, he will just cross check, and in that case backend developer will also help him that, boss, this is what the maximum length we have defined, and in this case this is what the value you need to pass. If it is greater than that, so they both will discuss whether they need to increase the maximum length for that email id, or whether they should allow, or whether UI5 need to be developed, means that person need to be make the change while saving the record. Because all this information, let's say as you created a basic simple form, and in that you're expecting, you're adding you're getting some information of email id from the user. So in that only you need to add a validation that for this email id, this is what the maximum length is defined. So that going forward, if any user, if he is trying to enter the email id which is more than 20 or 30 characters, that won't be accepted, right? In from the front end perspective, because if you're accepting all that values, so you will get this error for sure. So this is a bad handling, right? You're not handling the exception properly from front end side. Okay, so we should make sure that whatever the values that we are passing, it should follow the maximum length. It should follow the rules or the protocols that we have defined for the OData service for that respective fields while implementing. Okay, so shall we proceed to update one now?
Yes.
Okay, so we will also make sure that how we can add a validation from the front end side. We will implement this basically the basic one from the OData side, but from front end side, from UI5 side, we will add a validations for this, so that user will not make any mistake while entering the value, right? So we will make sure that we will add a validation for that from the front end.
Sure. Avik. Avik, one more doubt.
Mhm,
I think it's too early to ask this question.
mhm.
Uh, but still, I want to ask that. So, there you like has we also have a navigation this feature in the UI5. So, if you are moving to from like one to fetch the item records, so we are going to go with the like navigate from one view to another view. So that time, in the OData also we have to create that navigation part, right?
Yes, yes. In OData,
Navigation
we have to create a navigation part. So
association.
what we will do
Okay.
in this case, I'm not going to add any navigation, but for sure I'm just creating a navigation. Means
Okay.
for, because every employee will have their work history detail. So from that employee, we need to navigate to employee the work history details from this from that same record. So that we will add with the help
Okay.
of $expand query.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let me now shall we implement the update one? After update, we will implement delete, and then we will start with association and navigation.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So let me implement now the update one. So for update also, it is very straightforward. Only what will change in the update? Any idea from this code? Instead of rather than using insert, we will use update. Okay, only that change we will make. So I'm just copying this code as it is. Okay, so as this code is already saved, so let me expand this inherited methods. Oh, where are we? I think we are in, we need to go back to DBC. Right? Okay, inside the DPC, inside the inherited methods, yeah, we have update entity. So I'm just going to implement this update entity. First, redefine it. After that, remove all this basic commented code and just paste. And now instead of using insert, you just make it as update. Okay, so just verify the code. So there is no syntax error and activate the code now. Okay, so the code is activated now. So now this case, yeah. So I will update the employee as 9. Okay. So for update and post means if you are doing create and post, what is the different basic difference? While post, okay, while doing the post operation or the post HTTP method, we don't need to pass any parameter to that entity set. But when it comes to the update, so the parameter is required. The key information we need to pass. Then only that whatever the logic we have added, right? So based on that logic, automatically that record will get updated. Okay, so that record will get updated into that table. Okay, so now let's say I want to read the information of, just clicking on execute. Okay, so now we have this record. Just adding use as a service, use as a request. Now I will update. Let's say I'm going to update company. Process. Okay, so only one field I have updated. And after that, I will just now which for the update we need to call put method. Okay, I'm just clicking on the put. And after that, I'm just clicking on execute. Okay, so as soon as you execute, you will see the status code as 204. 204 means that content or that record got updated. Okay, because in case of update, we don't need to pass any information that this record is updated. Okay, based on the success code only, the front-end developer will know whether that record or whether that operation was successful or not. Okay, see as a front end, so how UI5 developer will identify whether this is successful or not based on the status code. He only needs the information of status code. If he is getting the status code as a 200, okay, based on the 200 series, so for sure that that record it got successfully updated. But if he is getting the status code as a 400 or 500, so it means that there is an issue with the payload or there is an issue with the backend person or there is an issue with the server side. So we need to cross check all our the logic that we have implemented from the backend side that we need to cross verify. Okay, when he will cross verify while doing the update option, while doing the update operation, if user is getting, if that developer is getting the status code as 400 or the 500, in that case only he will rectify. But while if the user is getting 204, so that record is successfully getting updated. Okay, so now let's see whether this record got updated or not. So I will just execute and I will check whether in the company we are getting Infosys or not. Okay, can you see now? So in the company we are getting the Infosys. So it means that record got successfully updated for that record. Okay, so guys, yeah, any questions in this? Shall we move to the delete now?
Yes.
Okay, so now delete also same. Just right click and redefine the method. And after that, we just need to write some logic for deletion of the record. Okay, so for deletion, again same. So we need a structure like line of IT key tab. Okay, so because in IT key tab, we will receive the key that we are passing. Okay, and from that we need to read the table IT key tab. Into ls with key name. What is a key name? EMP ID. EMP ID is a key, and then we will add sorry. Then we need to delete from the table z employee underscore UI5, where EMP ID is equal to less key tab value. Okay, first and if. Okay, check, no error, and activate the code now. Okay, so the code is updated now. So let's go back here now, select the delete HTTP method. Okay, so now we are going to delete the record 9. Okay, so record 9. So I will just put a breakpoint in this delete. Okay, so now I'm going to read IT key tab. So inside the IT key tab, what we have? We have 3 columns: row, name, and value. So under the name column, we have the ID, the key property name, which is a primary key for this table, which is nothing but EMP ID. And then what is the value that we have passed from the front end is the 9. Okay, so from this table, we need to read the value, or we need to read the key EMP ID. Okay, so after reading, if you look at LS key tab, what we have now inside the LS key tab, we will have the structure of employee ID and also the value. So now from this, once we have that, we are just checking if LS key tab is filled, then we need to delete the record from employee table, which has the employee ID's value, which is nothing but 9, right? So what we have inside the LS key tab, so ls key underscore tab value, we have the value of 9. So this value that we are comparing from this table. So if both are matching, then only we are deleting the record from that table. Okay, see, same 204. So in case of delete also, we don't need to return any, we don't have to return any response. Only based on the status code, the front end developer will easily identify whether that record it got deleted or not. Okay, so now if I try to read that record, same record, I will get an error because the resource is not available from that employee, because recently it just now it got deleted. Okay, guys, is it fine now?
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, so basically we implemented all the CRUD operation, the basic CRUD operation: create, delete, get entity set, and update entity. This is all only we need it from the front end. I will just explain, okay, which all methods are there from the UI5 side in order to trigger all these methods. Okay, and we will also see now the expand query, which is the last one after this. So maybe once that is done in 1 hour, so after that maybe let's see, after that we can just try to implement the get entity and get entity set in the UI5. Okay, so yeah, before we implement, let's take a 10 minutes break, and after that we will continue.
8:15.
Yeah, so now it is 8 o'clock, so maybe yeah, at 8:15 we will continue. So just be on mute. So yeah, guys, are you there?
Yes, Avi.
Yeah, okay, 1 second. Just- Okay, so till now we have just implemented the basic CRUD operation. Now let's try to implement expand query. Okay, let's say we have a requirement that we need to display information of the work history. Okay, in this case, we just have a single entity, that is employee, but there might be a requirement that you want to read. Okay, you want to display the information of each and every individual employee's work history details with the same record. Means if you want that the performance to be improved, and you want that a single service, it should return the details of history, work history, and at the same time it should also the display the details of employee. So if you want to achieve such kind of requirement from a single service rather than creating two different service, what we can do, we can implement get expanded entity set. Okay, because that is what the method that SAP has implemented or they have provided in order to fulfill such kind of requirement. Okay, so how this method work, expanded entity set. So when it comes to the expand, okay, means what you're doing, you're just trying to read the information from multiple entities at the same time. Means it's not restricted to the single table. You can read the information for multiple tables for a single record in a single service call. Okay, if you consider the example of employee, okay, so there can be a different thing like uh, just like employee can have a different work history, right? We can just display the work history details of an specific employee, but apart from the work history, maybe employee can also have what he can have apart from work history. Any other thing we can store? Guys, any idea that apart from work history, what he can have a different information which can be multiple, means it's not specific to a single record. Work history only itself, I think we can display all the basic experience details and all, and but what we can store apart from the work history? Like certification details, right? Means how many certifications he has completed. So maybe we can create a separate table for that, or that also, like skills. Means let's say in the future, if employee is working for 10 years, for sure in 10 years, he won't be restricted to single skill, right? For sure, he will gain more
Mhm.
and more knowledge and more skills. So based on that, maybe we need a table which will store the skill details for that employee. Means any employee can have more than 5 or 10 skills, and that will be increased day by day based on his performance, right? Based on his capabilities, the learning capabilities. Okay, such like that. So if you get a requirement that you want to display the information of an employee with work history in the same service, so we can implement get expanded entity set. Okay, so for implementing the get expanded entity set, or the name itself expanded, expand means you're going to expand the details of the other entities for that record. Okay, so if you want to implement this, so first of all, we need to create a relationship between the two tables, right? So if you are going to implement the expanded entity, first of all, we need a relationship, that how you will identify, okay, there should be a relationship, there should be a cardinality, right? And that relation you can create with the help of association in OData. So what is association? Association is nothing but it's just a relationship between two entities, okay, or two different tables in which a common primary key will be shared, a key that will be consistent or that will be common across the two tables. So in this case, as we are going to create one more entity for the work history, so I already have a custom table for that work history. So maybe we will refer that custom table only, and we will see that. Okay, so in that table, so two tables now we have. One is the employee table. The second one is the work history table. Okay. So between these two tables, we have a common property is employee ID, because at the end, based on employee ID, based on the employee ID only, we can fetch those details of the work history from that work history table, right? We cannot, because in that table, for sure, we will have the work history details of so many employees, and it's not easily possible to directly access those information without passing the employee ID. So we have what we have, make sure that employee ID will act as a primary key for that table. Sorry, foreign key as a table for that work history. Okay, so I will just go back to the SCGW. Let me go back here, or otherwise let me open a new window for that. Okay, so now the project that we created is this one, SAPUI5 odata underscore employee. And in that, let me expand the entity type. So we have only single entity type as of now, employee. So now we need to create one more entity for the work history. Okay. So before I implement, let me check the table also. So, okay, so that table we have is, sorry. So we have this ZEMP underscore work underscore item. So two tables we have. One second, let me check for this table. Okay, EMP ID is there, and okay, this is not our table. Yeah, okay, because we need to make sure that the name of the field, it should be consistent across all the two different tables. Okay, so now in this table, if you see in the work history table, in this database table, we have how many? We have four properties or four fields: EMP ID, work ID, company, and designation. So EMP ID, it is a primary key. Work ID is also primary key. And then we have company and designation. So in which we will store the company name and the designation in that company. Okay. So now for each employee, for sure, we will have the work history detail. Let's say if I consider Manish, or if I consider Shiva, so for sure you guys will be working for a couple of companies, right? It not be that you have started with only one company and until you die you're working with only single company. That won't be happen. So for sure you guys will have more and more history details. So if I want to store all that information and if I want to access that information, so I need a key as well for that. So first of all, let's see what all details we have inside the table. Looks like today's server is a little bit slow. Okay, so in this expanded entity also we have couple of things, like you can implement get expanded entity set and get expanded entity. Okay, means you can also implement this for the single or the multiple. And after that, the create dip entity, which will act as a create and update for a single one. Okay, so let's do one thing. Okay, let me check the records. Okay, so yeah, I think we have a couple of records for the employee ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. Okay, so for this or for all these employee IDs, we have the details of work history. Okay, so now what I will do, so I'll just go back now. So yeah, let's create a entity type or entity set for this table. Okay, so I'm creating one more entity type. So I will just select, okay, let me edit it first of all. Yeah. So I'm just right clicking on data model and then I'm selecting option as an import and import from DDIC structure. So in this, I will create an entity work history and I will provide the name of that database thing. Okay, and after that, I'm just clicking on next. Okay, so I'm selecting all the properties and I'm clicking on next. And after that, I'm making sure that EMP ID and work ID both are primary key, both are key for this table. And then let's click on finish. Okay, so now if you see, we just now we created a new entity set, work history and work. Okay, so we have this properties for that. But under this work history, right, if you expand, we have the navigation properties also for this. But as of now, we didn't created any navigation property. So yeah, so let's do one thing now. Now let's create an association. So what association will do, it will just help us to create a relationship between. Okay, it will help us to build a relationship between these two tables. So for creating the association, just right click on this association once, and then we have an option of create. Okay, once you create, so now you need to provide a name for this association. So I'm just writing employee to work history. Okay, after that, in this principal entity, it means your parent entity. Okay, the header information or the header entity. So in this, you can provide the header has an employee, and after that cardinality. So see, in cardinality, you're just defining like for a single employee, how many work history details will have. So for sure, without employee, there would not be any work history details, right? So employee, the cardinality for the employee will always remain one, right? For a single employee, there can be a multiple work history details, or there can be many work history details. And after that, you can provide a name to this navigation property. So this navigation property, it will help you to navigate to that entity. So whatever name you're providing in this property, that is very important, guys. So this is what the name it will appear in metadata. Means now as a UI5 developer, let's say if I want to expand work history. So the name that I will provide in this input field, okay, that same name I have to refer. I have to pass in $expand. So with the help of that property only, I will get the details of work history. Okay, so this is very important. So I'm just providing EMP to work history here. After that, dependent entity. So this dependent entity means it is a child entity or just items one, which will be dependent on the principal entity. So now in this entity, which entity we need to provide? We need to provide the work history. Okay. And then what should be the cardinality for a single employee? There should be a 0 or there should be n number of work history details. So I'm just providing 0 to n. Okay. So now after that, just click on next. Okay, so once you click on the next, then we have a dependent entity, dependent property. So this two tables, how it will be dependent. So on which property it will be dependent. So it will be dependent on the primary key or the key, the property that is employee ID, right? So employee ID, it's only the property that is shared or that is a common across these two tables. Okay, after that, you just click on
But
next.
work IDs also you have mentioned, right?
No. Work ID, it is not available inside the employee. Is it
Achha.
available inside the employee table? No. Only EMP ID, it is common across employee table and work history table.
Okay.
Okay, so one key is sufficient in order to identify the records. Okay, so now just click on next. So once you click on the next, it will just give you that principal entities employee set, dependent entities work history set. Okay, just click on finish now. So once you click on the finish, now you will see under this entity type. OK, so this navigation property, it will filled with the property, the navigation property EMP2 work history. Right. This is what the name that we have provided to the navigation property. Association, it is just a name that you are providing to that relationship. OK. But at the end, you will use this navigation property name only in order to drill down, in order to go inside that entity if you want to fetch. OK, so now same it will be applied in work history. So in work history, so now in employee only we will have that relationship. OK, so at least our basic association is created now. Now the next thing is now we need to implement the logic for that. But before we implement, so what I need to do, just now I created the new entity set, right? A new entity type. So again, I need to generate a runtime objects. OK, So just click on this project and generate the runtime objects. So every time you make any change in whenever you make a change in any property or any entity, okay, if you're making a new or deleting it, so make sure that you generate a runtime objects because it will update your model provider class and data provider class for that OData project. Okay, so now it has been updated. So now I will go to the implementation section for a second. Okay, so in this now same, I will go to the methods now inherited methods. So yes, we have the methods for work history. So we are not going to implement any methods for the work history set. Okay, we don't need to. So now as of now, we are just reading this information with the help of expand entity. So that expand entity details, you will get it inside the attributes for sure. Yeah. So inside the attributes, we will have the second folder. Okay, SRV runtime in from the core where you will have 1 second. Okay, where is our expand entity? Okay, yeah. Okay, so under the second folder, APPL service runtime, under this, you will see one method get expanded entity and get expanded entity set. So now the one that we need to implement is get expanded entity set. Okay, so we will implement this get expanded entity set first, and after that we will see the get expanded entity. And once that is done, so we will see the last create deep entity. So let's say implement this get expanded entity set. So let me redefine it. And after that, let's remove all this logic, commented code, save and activate. Okay, so now what we need to do now in this code, any idea what we need to write here?
So we are going to fetch the record from the
Two
employee and
tables.
that yeah, two tables, and then we'll merge that record into one that internal table, and we'll
Yes,
yeah,
yes, that only
then
we are going to do. Yes. So we are going to create a new table or new structure which will hold the information of header and which will also store the information of the items. Okay, header and items. And after that, we will push that record one by one into one table because at the end we need to pass the table only, right? Because it's not about the single record, it's about the multiple records. So what we will do, we will create a structure in such a way that so that structure will hold or that structure and also the table. It will hold all the information. Structure will hold the single information and the table will hold all the multiple records information. So I'm just creating a the structure. Okay, so now I need a type for header because the type we need it. Okay, so that type I can easily get from the MPC. So I'll just go back here for a second. Otherwise,
we have defined already created that right entity.
yes, yes, we have already defined. That header or sorry, that type information we can access from the MPC. Like the structure is there already in that model class. 1 second, I'll do one thing here. Okay, so in this, I am just going to the types and now we need this structure. Okay, this is what we needed. Just copying this. We also need okay, guys, you can write based on your means whatever you prefer, you can write that. It's not mandatory that you have to prefer this way only. After that, I'm creating a header. So now here we need to, I will make sure that whatever navigation property name is there, right? That we have defined. So same name I will just use it so that it will help you to store that properly. So what is a navigation property name that we have defined? Any idea what is there? Second one.
Something employee to work history.
Yes, EMP to work history. That only we have defined. TT work history. Yeah. So we'll do one thing. 1 second. That name I already remember. EMP2 work history. Okay. So which is of type? Same. Same. We already have that structure for that. Okay. So end of. Okay. So this type we need of work history, right? So the work history type only we need it. So I'm just copying the structure of TS work history. Okay, fine. So now I just need to create a variable for a work area and a table, internal table. Table of TS entity, and then we need a work area which will hold the single record. Like line of. Okay, fine. So now we just need two more variables like IT header, table for header, type, table, table of Z. What is the table name? Table name. Table name Z employee. Okay. So of work history item. Okay, at the last we need edges of type. So yeah. Sorry, this we needed as a table, right? It's not like a structure. Yes. Now we are just creating the structure here. So I will, yeah, sorry, one mistake I have made.
Yes, that would should also be include time, right?
Hmm. Okay.
That data which you have defined employee to work history,
Mm-hmm.
that is an item table you are referring, right?
Yes, yes, it is an item table. and below 1 it is just a work area for a single record.
So can we define include type for that also?
Include type for that also. Then we don't need to declare here, right? That's what you want to say?
No, no, no. I meant to say that because this begin of which you are defining it uh, means in that we are including this structure and that structure, that table.
Right. Okay, can we try with this also? Let's see. If
Okay,
it
okay,
is not
okay,
working, then we will include that.
okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So far we just created the basic work areas and the internal tables for the employee and for the work history. So now after that, let's add a condition. So we'll add a condition based on the case. Just adding a case. So now from which case that we will receive the entity set name. Okay, how I will receive the entity set name. So for receiving the entity set name, we have one the input parameter, that is IV underscore entity set name. Okay, so with the help of IV underscore entity underscore set name, we will receive the name of the entity from which the user will type. Okay, from where the browser means from the browser where user is entering or user is passing the entity set name. So based on that entity set name, we will just verify. So let's say if the property okay, so from this entity, so inside this case, I will say if employee set. Okay, if it is employee set, select star from that employee into table. So into table IT header. Okay, if it is 0, if it is 0, second. Okay. Okay, so now we need to get all the records from item to table IT underscore item. Okay, so for all entries in IT header where EMP ID is equal to hyphen EMP ID. Okay, fine now. So now what we need to do next, we need to add next we need to loop add IT header into data corresponding data header to. So we created one work area, right? The deep entity, the work area. Inside that, I'm just pushing that. Okay, and after that, loop at IT underscore item data item header EMP ID. Now that once we get that, uh, we will just move that data to Okay, so the type that we created. Inside that, I'm moving it. Odata underscore item. So where we need to append this? We need to append this to the table, right? To the table. Okay, and once that be done, we need to clear the record from the work area. Okay, so once that is done, so at the last, what we need to do? We need to append entity to entity, and then finally we need to clear that work area for the deep entity. Header and entity. Okay, that's done for the loop part. Till now, whatever we have done, let's check whether it is right or wrong. Okay, so there is no syntax error. Okay, now what we need to do finally. So now, so far we have stored all the information into the table. Now I need to pass this information to the front end, right? To the browser, so that user can see all these details. So for that, we have one method. So that method you can add. So it is a ready-made method. You can add with the help of pattern here. So just click on pattern or do one thing. DPC is there. Wait, I'm just copying this for a second. So you can go to the app and you can provide the class name. Okay. And then you can provide you can copy, you can just select one method, copy data to ref. Okay. So this method will help you to pass this information to the front end. So just select. Okay. So yeah, okay. I think it got added below. Okay. So now here, so in this exporting, we need to pass IT deep entity, and then where we need to pass this information to the ER entity. So we have one information in the signature on the top. That name is ER underscore entity set. So ER underscore entity set, it will carry the information to the outside world. Okay, that's it. So let's check the code. Okay, so there is no syntax error. So let's activate. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a breakpoint in this case. External breakpoint. And now just go back to this gateway client. Let's pass normal get. Okay, so we have all the records here. Now let's see in metadata. Okay, let's see the metadata information. Okay, so because at the end we need to expand the navigation property. So what is the name of navigation property? EMP2 work history, right? So this property, this navigation property, we need to drill down so that we can get all the details for the work history for that specific employee in a single service. So now provide the employee set. After that, question dollar expand equal to EMP2 work history. Okay, now just click on execute. So once you click on the execute, automatically, as soon as you pass the dollar expand query, automatically it will call the method get underscore expanded and underscore entity set. Okay, this is what the method it will call. So in that, if you see, we have the case IV underscore entity underscore set underscore name. So in this name, we have the which employee set it is passing, which entity set. It's passing employee set, because this is what we are triggering now, right? From this employee set only we need to read the information from the navigation property. So we got the employee set under this property name. Now next thing is, so this condition will match. If it is employee set, it will go down and it will get all the information from the z employee underscore UI5 table, and it will store that into IT underscore header. Okay, so now under the IT underscore header, we have all the information of the employee, right? So let's go back here. Now, if the condition, if size of RC equal to 0, then again we are reading the information from the IT underscore table. Sorry, we are reading the details from the work item table. Okay. So in which we are comparing with the employee ID. Let's see what we have inside the IT item. Okay, so we have all the records from here. Okay, so respective information we have stored it inside the IT underscore item. And after that, we have a looping statement. So now we need to loop from IT header. Okay, so let's go down here. Now, if you look at the work, the WA underscore header, we will have a single record. Means it's like a structure for a single record in which we have stored a single record. Okay, so from this single record, we will get the employee ID. Okay, so again, one more loop we need for the work area, for the history table. So again, same thing. We need to loop at item table. So now again, this will store the single record inside the W underscore item based on the employee ID. Okay, because where the employee ID, we already have the information of that single record inside the W underscore header. So inside the employee ID, we need to get the information for that employee ID 1 from that item table, and we will store that inside the work area. Okay, after storing, if you see, you will have a record for that employee ID 1, the history table. And that information we need to store that, or we need to move that into the work area item. Okay, so this odata item, we will have the data for that. Okay, so let's go down here. Now, what it will do, it will append that to the table, to the work area. Okay, so now if you see, we will have a single record which is being appended inside the EMB2 work history navigation property, right? Okay, so now after once we done, so we need to clear work area item, and we also need to clear the work area, that odata item. So to work area, we need to clear. So, okay. So again, it will look for the second record, and this is how it will happen. I'm just putting a breakpoint here. Sorry. Let it continue. Okay. So finally, now what we have inside the WA deep entity. So inside the WA deep entity, if you see, we have a structure of the header. And at the same time, we also have a structure of the navigation property EMB2 work history, which is nothing but it is a table, okay, which has the 2 records. Okay, so based on that employee ID, we stored the 2 records into that navigation property. And then finally, we just need to append. Once we append that to the internal table. Okay, so if you look at IT deep entity, so this table will have a single record with that navigation property, which is holding the 2 records based on the employee ID. Okay, so let's clear the WA deep entity, and likewise it will that loop it will be continued for all other data, all other rest records. Just continue. Okay. So can you see now, guys? I'm getting all the records. Okay, let me add a format format equal to JSON. Can you see? So we got the header information. Till here we got the header information. And now we have a navigation property EMP to work history, in which we have the results. Okay. And inside the results, if you see, you have the two records for that employee. Okay. Can you see now employee ID1, we have the two record, we got it for the work history. Okay. Same like that. So for other records also, we got some few information. Okay, guys.
Okay.
So was it easy, or for sure it would be easy for Abapus, especially?
So this thing happens only for when we select that employee set, and then only if we click on that expand.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yes, right. So if we
Okay.
select employee, then if we click on expand, so then it will call that expand entity.
Right, right. Whenever you are going to pass $expand query, then only this entity or this method will be triggered. If you are just passing employee set, so it will not call get expanded entity set. Rather, it will call normal get entity or get entity set for that record, for that employee set. Okay. Okay. So any questions in this apart from that?
And that you have defined a include type above.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so so it means that when you define the data, so that is taken as a fifth number row, as a row number 5. So that is considered as a table, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
third is a structure, it has been considered, and the fifth one is table. That's why we are able to see that we can store the multiple record for the
Right.
one
Right.
country. Okay.
Okay, this is ITS deep entity. It's just like a structure which has the structure of work history. Means in that work history, in a single structure, you have a table of work history, right? And you have a structure of header, which is employee. And after that, we just created an internal table and the work area for that deep entity. Okay, so after that, slowly one by one, with the help of the looping statement, we are able to append that information. And then after that only we are able to say this. Okay, so code wise, anything more do I need to explain, or it's clear?
It's clear, Avik, from my side.
Okay.
And the last part, every time we have to use, right? Copy data to reference
Yes,
that.
yes. This, yeah, we have to use this because instead of writing the code, you can directly call this method, ready-made method.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think only yeah, we need to implement get entity now. And after implementing the get entity, we will implement the create deep entity. So yeah, let's take a 5 minutes break now, 5 minutes. And after that, we will implement get entity. Sorry, get expanded entity for a single record. Let's see for a single record, how this has been done.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a 5 minutes break maximum, and then we'll continue. Yeah. Okay, so let's implement that. So guys, you will try from your end. How is it? You want to try from your end the get expanded entity?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay, you just try. Means yeah. Let me know maybe tomorrow. Okay. So maybe instead of implementing get entity set, we can directly sorry, instead of implementing get entity, we can directly implement create deep entity. Now, okay, just try once from your end. Okay, so hopefully it should be done because the code wise we didn't add any complex logic, right? Everything is simple only that we have added so far. Okay, so we'll do one thing. We will implement the create deep entity. So why we need to use create deep entity and what is the main purpose for that? So if you see, just now we implemented get expanded entity set. So what this get expanded entity set is doing? So this is returning the information of the header table, and at the same time, it is also returning the information of the child tables. Okay, like header and items. So if you look at the structure, we have the header information, and at the same time, we are also getting the information of the items table. Okay, so let's say you want to update. Okay, let's say you want to update a specific record. Okay, let's say you want to update a specific record, and at the same time, you also want to update the child's or the items as well. So how it can be done? Because you cannot implement create, right? In this case, create will won't work. Create it's only for updating a normal table. But so what SAP has done, they have provided one more method, create deep entity. So if you are going to implement create deep entity, and if you're passing a structure in that way, automatically that method will trigger. Okay, it will identify that you are passing the information, you're passing the details to the navigation property, which is nothing but EMP to work history. And in this information, it's need to be created or it's need to be updated at the same time with the header. So in such case, automatically it will create a create deep entity method. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's write a logic for that create deep entity. And after that, we will just create a basic payload. Okay, we will create a basic payload and we will try to pass it. Okay, so that we can try once.
So whenever there is like
Mhm.
header and item data which is passed from the UFI, so we
Mhm.
should always implement this thing in the creative entity set, right?
Yes, because that
Okay.
is a best practice. Always we have to do. We have to
Okay.
implement create deep entity. And this
Mm-hmm.
create deep entity, if you are implementing it right, so it will work in both cases. That create deep entity, it will also act as for creating the new record, and it will also act as for updating the same record, the existing record.
Okay.
Okay, you
So
don't need to write. Mhm.
how about that create entity set and create entity that we should avoid using? Instead of that, we should go for create a deep entity, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have a relationship in the same format, so yes, you can directly implement the deep entity. Means if you know that for your employee set or your for entity set, there is no navigation property, so you can go with normal way. You can directly implement the normal you can implement normal entity set. You don't need to implement for expand and all. If it has the navigation property, so there is a you want to display the couple of information, some details from other entities at the same time. So yes, we have to implement the expanded entities. Okay, so yeah, let's write a logic for that create deep entity, and let's see that how we can pass the payload so that a record can be created. Okay, so let's do one thing now. Yeah, let's go to the above workbench, and in that, okay, let's see where we have that method. Uh, okay, so DPC redefinition, we implemented get expanded entity. Now we need to implement. Sorry, again we are in wrong folder. Right? So now let's implement create deep entity. So same, redefine it. Okay, activate this. Okay, so let's write a logic for this. Same means whatever the structure we have created right earlier, same, I can copy that same structure without any intention. Let me copy that. Okay, I'm just copying this structure back here. Okay, so after that, okay, this code also we can copy from that. Rather than writing, we can just copy that code also. Okay, and then we need to will define couple of variables, couple of tables, and okay, we need a type for the table. Again, table, again copy, same thing. Or just copy this directly. Okay, so just write a logic here. Case, same. This employee. It is employee set. Then we will get the data from IO data provider.
And one more big doubt is there. Whenever, so supposedly we have already come to after 2, 3 navigation, and then we are trying to get the record. So that time also IV entity set name can vary, right? Because first time we have clicked on means employee details, and then afterwards we have clicked on some other product details, and then again through product details we are trying to click on employee details part. Means something like kind of this navigation which we are doing. So that time the URL will got also lengthy, right? So,
Right.
so that time also are we going to get employee set in the IB entity set name, because we are coming through many navigation, right? Many parts. So can we see
Right.
that case also if possible, like in future, means not now, later on? Is it possible for you? Okay. Just want to
Yeah,
understand.
let me check that. Okay, so let me check that. Maybe we'll try to see that information as well.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Okay, just writing it. Sorry, just going to modify it. Modify. So now we need to modify. We need to modify this table. Employee. Okay. So after that, now I need to loop that deep entity, and in that is pin that data to IT underscore item. So at the last, again, inside that also, again, we are going to modify that Z employee. Sorry, this not Z employee. Okay, and if C 20, right? Same that same method you can directly. It already has that. Looks like okay.
And can we create some custom method also, means our method also over here? Because we're generally redefining it, right?
Which method?
Means if we want a method, supposedly in this program, I want to create, means in the web, we generally create subroutines or function modules. So it means I want to create a method, but it should be custom one, which is not mentioned in the DPC already. So can we achieve that, right? We can achieve that.
Yeah. You can achieve that also.
In DPC, we have to define it, right? That method name, or in the DPC extension.
Deep mostly we will do it inside the DPC extension only.
Acha,
If you're
okay.
if you're going to write inside the DPC, so again if someone means again if you're going to create or generate the runtime objects, so again that will be cleared up, right?
Clear. Yes. So in the
That else
extension,
we
we should.
cannot pick.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, code is ready. Let me check what we have here. Yeah, this when this we can clear. Hmm. Yeah, so there is no error. Okay, so now let's go back to the service builder. So what I will do, maybe I'll just copy one record, okay, from here. Just copy this, I'm just copying the single record. So we'll paste
Mhm.
here as it is. So metadata, we don't need it. And this metadata also, we don't need it. Say curly, then here, then we need one more bracket. Fine now? Yes.
Yeah. And we have to make the blank space, right? That's employee ID.
Where?
The employee ID should be blank, right? Because we are going to generate a new employee ID.
Yeah. See that logic, we haven't written it, but yes, you
We
can
can
achieve that.
so we can do right now for the just for the checking purpose. Just we will pass the employee
Yes. So, which one is the latest record we have here?
ID.
Employee 8, right? 7 is there. Yes. Okay, let's try for 9. Okay, so at least payload is clear, right? That how we are passing the payload.
We have to also in the sub employee ID also 9 we have to mention, right? 9 1.
Right. Yeah.
And can we create a breakpoint over there?
Yes. Maybe work ID. Yeah, this work ID also we need to cross check once. Uh, okay, work ID 9 we already have.
I think you have kept both as a primary key, so you can make it one because the combination will be should be unique. Employee ID, work ID.
Right. Yes. Yes, for the ninth, for employee 9, there is no work ID, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
we can keep it as one only.
one.
Okay, so this detail, let's say if you want to pass it dynamically, so what you can do, let's say you want to add a 2 records. Means you have created a table in which you are adding a record one by one. So this code we can means at the time of creation of this payload from JavaScript, you can just do the addition, right? Based on the array, you can just increment the value for the work ID 1, 2. So that this will automatically it will get updated into that.
But I think we should handle it in the OData because at the database level we have to check what is the latest record.
Yes. So what I've seen so far, Manish, from that means in couple of cases I have consumed so many get expanded entity sets. Okay,
Okay.
so whenever it comes that let's say you want to push a new records. So what they will do means see you will first read the information from that service, and then from that you will check for the maximum work ID. Okay, so based on that maximum work ID, you will add the remaining work IDs for the records that you are going to push or you are going to add into that. That's how we have done so far. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So employee is fine. Employee, it should be done from the backend only. That it should be
Okay.
generated from the backend only. But
Mhm.
when it comes to the items, right? Yeah, from front end or from backend, both ways you can handle.
Right. Right.
But so far I have seen maybe some primary key you can maintain or you can maintain some sequence number or other like that. Some key which will identify that record.
Right.
Okay, so yes. Maybe, yeah, I will just keep this as it is. Also, I'm keeping it. Yeah, so now we want to push this. So now same post only I will do. And before I do, let me put a breakpoint there. This only, right? Create deep entity. Yeah, just putting a breakpoint here. Okay, so yes. Yeah, now in this case, you don't need to pass any expand and all. You can directly go to the employee set directly. Okay, so in the URL, employee set is sufficient because in this employee set, you already have that navigation property, employee to work history. If you are going to pass details to this EMB to work history, automatically the method will know or that logic, right? The SAP will know that yes, now we need to save the details of work navigation also in that case.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. Okay. Then it will hit the create deep entity because we
Yes,
have already also implemented that create entity set, but it will go to create deep entity
create deep entity because of that navigation property.
navigation. So
Okay.
this kind of entry has to be come from the UI5 side, right? They have to ensure the data should come in this way.
Yes. So from UI5
Mm,
perspective, we need to make sure that we are passing the details inside the navigation property. If we are
yeah.
not passing, if you are not even mentioning, so it will trigger the normal create entity, not the create deep entity.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now we have here IV entity set name, employee set, and from that it will go inside. Okay, looks. Yeah, I will just put a breakpoint here.
You can press F7. Yeah.
F7.
F7 or there is a button after. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. Sorry, I'm not good into this.
no, no problem.
Okay, fine. Okay, so from that,
In
yes. So now inside this deep entity, we have this employee ID 9. Okay, so it will go and I
but
will
in
store
IS handler, you need to pass more fields, right? If you only
where
have can you double click on IS handler?
IS header. Okay.
Just try to F5. It will only pass only one data, that one
Yes,
employee ID.
right.
The remaining thing will not be passed.
Let's see that now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so from here, let me go down here for a second. So first of all, it will just modify this. Okay, it will just modify this table from the header. It's whatever it's there inside the header. From there, it will just modify. I'm just checking why it is not getting the basic details from EMP ID, email ID, gender, and designation.
We have not passed it, right? Move corresponding, we have not, or whatever the data is coming from the WA deep entity, we have not passed it into IS under completely. Only employee ID we have passed.
Right. Employee ID only we have passed. So in this
Yes.
case, we need to pass that also, right?
Yes, all the fields. Or you can mention corresponding also.
Okay. Can you tell
Yeah.
me that? Yeah.
You
Can
can
you?
write after 19.
Here only, right?
Yes. Then if you press, you can mention that IS under yes. Move corresponding WA deep entity. Do you want to try move corresponding? Like how you have
Yes.
written for
Anything.
24.
This one, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing you have to write.
Uh, uh, okay. Sorry.
And just IS ID and WA deep entity. Perfect.
Now it should work actually.
In the deep entity also we have two one table and one structure, right? Can you click on WA deep entity hyphen
Where?
on the same move corresponding WA underscore deep entity put hyphen.
Mm,
Acha, you have already okay, perfect. I think so.
yeah. Yes.
And no, can you double click on the IT deep entity? We have like table PS. Uh,
Okay. Again, it is a like
Barabar.
table of
Right.
records. Hmm. Yeah, I will just put, so I think we have activated it. So maybe
You have to generate.
it will generate, right? So what if I close it directly?
It's okay. You just go to debug mode. Go to debug. In the top left, you have a debugger option. In the top. corner left.
This one,
Debugger is
right?
there.
Debugger.
Debugger. Go to exit close application. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I think let's try once again. Okay, so this time we have it. Okay, so now from this to IS header. So inside this, yes, now we have all the information.
No, in IS header you need to check. It's in the
Yeah, that means it will update inside the IS header, right? After this
yes,
execution.
yes, 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 yes.
Yes, we have that
That's
record.
correct. Yes.
Okay, and then from that it will modify the table. So inside this table, we will have that information. If it is already there, it will modify, or otherwise it will create a new record.
It will create a new record.
Yes. Now again, we need to loop through that data. So inside this only we have a single record as of now. So if we have multiple records, then it will append one by one to that table.
Yes, right, right.
Yes. Inside the IS item, you have a single record. Fine, and it will execute now. Okay. So yes, I think we just need to put a breakpoint here. Just click on continue. Now, yes, yes, in the item table we have this and we will modify it. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let's execute this. Yeah, it got created successfully. Okay, let's see that once. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, we need to read.
That's 9 record employee ID.
Yes. What a URI option. Execute.
Yes,
Yes, it got created. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, I
Okay.
think, yeah, it's clear only, right, guys? We just implemented in a simple way, not in a complex way.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, looks like only Manish, you are only focusing. What about others? Shiva and all.
I think Shiva is not there.
Shiva is not there, right? Yeah, in earlier session only Shiva told me that he already done this. He wanted to see from UI5 side how we can implement this from front end. Okay. So yeah, Manish,
Okay.
any questions you have?
No, I'm good. Just want to see from the UI side, but tomorrow. Acha, you can close the recording.
Yes, yes. It's already 9:20. So maybe I can see if you want, we can see that now also, but it would be more, right? So tomorrow, okay, please try. Okay, so to be in a call
Yeah.
so that we can implement this end to end. We can implement all the
So,
CRUD operation and we can do
so,
this creative entity from the front end.
I just want to understand, like the UFI perspective, you will be just taking this URL, right? And you will be implementing in the UFI.
Right, right.
Right. And in UFI, how you're going to click on that button, so that time it will call this lab to and everything you're going to implement. In your-
Yes, yes. So from UI5 perspective, what we will see before we implement this, first of all, we
Mhm,
will see which destination need to be created, right?
mhm,
Because
mhm,
let's say, I mean, the basis team, they have configured this destination already in cloud
mhm,
platform or BTP cockpit.
mhm, mhm,
Okay. So now this service you want to access in UI5. So how you will access?
mhm,
You need a destination for that.
mhm,
So once
mhm,
the destination is configured properly in the
mhm,
cloud, So it can be accessible to your BAS or web ID.
Right.
Okay. So again, if it is accessible, again, there are a couple of steps we need to follow in the project.
Okay.
Okay. So for consuming this OData service, how you can create OData model, everything we need to see from UI5 perspective. So then only you can easily do your CRUD operation from the front end.
Okay.
Okay. So that each and everything we will see tomorrow. And I will also try to provide, I will try my best to give some information for the cloud connector. We have configured the cloud connector for this.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
tomorrow at
that is it.
8 o'clock, right?
Yes, tomorrow 8 o'clock. Yeah. Or we can also try early. Okay, I will let you know if we can try at 7:30, so that at least we can cover most of the part tomorrow. So
If
after that,
possible,
only 1 week is pending.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Manish, after that, only 1 week is pending. So in that 1 week, we will see that how we can deploy this app on BTP cockpit and also on ABAP repository. That is on on-premise system. Okay. So we'll see that how we can configure a tile and all for this app. Let's say you created this app and after that you want to deploy this app on the Fury Launchpad. So that we will see.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I think that is what the last part. I'm not going to cover any smart controls because see, for smart controls, again, we need to see more in detail. So I will try my best. Okay, for annotation, let's say how we can create a basic annotations from the UI5 so that we can work with the smart controls. Okay.
Welcome. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, be present tomorrow. So we'll connect tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye bye.